Ever wondered how a classical music prodigy became the rebellious godfather of Latin American rock? The story of Charly Garcia isn't just about music. It's the story of a nation, of art against oppression, and of a genius who painted his life in sound. Carlos Alberto Garcia Moreno was born in Buenos Aires on October 23, 1951, into an affluent family. His father was a successful entrepreneur, and his mother, a music show producer who first spotted his incredible talent. Imagine this. At just 3 years old, little Charly could perfectly replicate melodies on a toy piano. He wasn't just gifted, he was a prodigy. At 4, he was already enrolled in a prestigious music conservatory. But his childhood wasn't just about music. At a young age, Charly developed vitiligo, a condition that changed the pigmentation of his skin, famously giving him his two-toned mustache. This physical distinction, combined with his prodigious talent, began to shape the complex, iconic personality we know today. By the age of 12, he had already earned a degree as a professor of piano, mastering the works of classical giants like Stravinsky and Ravel. His path seemed set for the concert halls of the world. But then, a sound from Liverpool, England, changed everything. The Beatles hit the world stage, and for Charly, their energy and rebellion were a revelation. It was a liberation from the strict, academic world of classical music. He was still in high school, a military academy no less, when he decided his future lay not with Chopin, but with rock and roll. He started his first bands, like the psychedelic group To Walk Spanish, but the most fateful meeting was with a schoolmate named Nido Mestre. Together, in 1968, they planted the seeds of a band that would define a generation, Sui Generis. Initially a larger band, Sui Generis soon streamlined into the legendary acoustic duo of Charly on piano and Nito on flute and vocals. Their first album, Vida, released in 1972, was a phenomenon. Songs like Canción para mi muerte became anthems for a youth navigating turbulent political times in Argentina. They were poets, their music a beautiful, melancholic soundtrack for a generation. Their next album, Confesiones de Invierno, solidified their stardom. But as the political climate in Argentina grew darker, so did their music. Their third album, Pequeñas Anécdotas sobre las Instituciones, was electric, complex, and politically charged. So much so that several songs were censored by the military regime. The pressure became too much, and in 1975, Sui Generis said goodbye. But they did it in style, with 2 massive, legendary concerts at the Luna Park Stadium, a farewell that became a landmark event in Argentine music history. After the folk rock poetry of Sui Generis, Charly craved complexity. He formed the supergroup La Máquina de Hacer Pájaros, or the bird-making machine. This was Charly unleashed, diving headfirst into the world of progressive and symphonic rock, inspired by bands like Yes and Genesis. The music was brilliant, a showcase of his virtuosity with intricate arrangements and layered synthesizers. While it didn't achieve the mass appeal of Sui Generis, it was a crucial step in his evolution, proving he was a master of composition and a wizard in the studio. This experimental phase set the stage for what many consider his greatest achievement. In 1978, Charly Garcia assembled a band of titans. It was called Serú Girán, and it was nothing short of a dream team. Charly on keyboards, David Lebon on guitar, the phenomenal Pedro Aznar on bass, and Oscar Moro on drums. They were so talented, so popular. They were nicknamed the Argentine Beatles. Their first album was a bit complex for audiences, but with their second, La Grasa de las Capitales, they hit a nerve. It was a raw, satirical critique of society under the military dictatorship. With albums like Bicicleta and Peperina, Serú Girán became the undisputed sound of resistance. Their music was sophisticated but catchy, and their lyrics, full of subtle defiance, spoke for a generation that felt silenced. They were the biggest and best band in the country. Their farewell in 1982, just as Argentina was on the cusp of returning to democracy, was another monumental event, marking the end of one era and the explosive beginning of another. As democracy returned to Argentina, Charly Garcia stepped out alone, and his solo career became the stuff of legend. His first album, Yendo de la Cama al Living, was a direct reflection of the times. The title track and songs like No Bombardee in Buenos Aires captured the national mood perfectly. But it was his next album, Clics Modernos from 1983, that changed everything. Recorded in New York City, it was a sonic revolution. Charly embraced synthesizers, drum machines, and new wave sounds, creating a modern masterpiece that was years ahead of its time. Tracks like Los Dinosaurios, a haunting reflection on the disappeared of the dictatorship, and the anthemic Demoliendo Hoteles became instant classics. Clics Modernos is still considered one of the most important albums in the history of Latin American music. It was the moment Charly Garcia went from being a national hero to a continental icon. He followed it up with Piano Bar in 1984, another rock-solid album that cemented his status as the most influential artist of the decade. If you are enjoying the video, please give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell. In 1986, Charly, already a legend, decided to tear down his own statue and build something new, something raw, something dangerous. After the massive success of the mid-80s, most artists would play it safe. But Charly wasn't most artists. He veered into a more confrontational sound. Albums like Parte de la Religión in '87, with its iconic hit No Voy en Tren, and Como Conseguir Chicas in '89, showcased a grittier, electronic-infused rock. He was shedding his pop skin and embracing his inner maverick, solidifying his reputation as an artist who answered to no one. The 90s, however, saw a dramatic shift. Charly became more reclusive, more controversial. His concerts became legendary for their unpredictability, bordering on beautiful chaos. This was the era of his personal mantra, "Say no more." It wasn't just a phrase, it was a philosophy of artistic freedom and defiance. Musically, he ventured into challenging territory with the techno-rock opera La Hija de la Lágrima and the influential eponymous Say No More album. These weren't easy listens. They were complex, demanding, and utterly Charly. But this period of fierce creativity was shadowed by a darker struggle. His battles with addiction and mental health became more public, often overshadowing his music. The headlines were filled with erratic behavior, culminating in that infamous moment in 2000. In Mendoza, he leaped from the 9th floor of his hotel into a swimming pool below. It was a shocking act that became a symbol of his seemingly unstoppable spiral. Yet, even in the midst of this personal turmoil, his creative fire refused to die. That same year, he reunited with Sui Generis for the album Sinfonías para Adolescentes, a brief but cherished return to his roots. By 2008, Charly had reached a breaking point. Years of relentless self-destruction had taken their toll, and his health was in a critical state. A medical and judicial intervention became unavoidable. He was admitted to a psychiatric facility, and for many, it seemed like the tragic end of a brilliant career. But then, a gesture of profound friendship changed everything. Musician Ramon Pulido. Ortega invited Charly to his country estate in Luján to continue his recovery in a private, supportive environment. Under the watchful care of Ortega and a dedicated medical team, Charly began the grueling process of detoxification and rehabilitation. It was a meticulous, day-by-day battle. He had to rebuild his life from the ground up, focusing on physical and neurological therapy. He later confessed his deepest fear during this time, that the effects of his medication had damaged his hands so badly he might never play the piano again. Imagine, a maestro fearing he'd lost his instrument. Then, in August 2009, a new song emerged. Debería saber por qué, I Should Know Why. It was more than just a single. It was a declaration. It was the sound of Charly finding his way back, and it became the anthem for his incredible comeback. The stage was set for a return nobody thought possible. October 23, 2009, Charly's 58th birthday. More than 40,000 people packed into Vélez Sarsfield Stadium in Buenos Aires, their anticipation hanging heavy in the air. And then, the heavens opened. A torrential downpour began, but it didn't stop a thing. In a moment of pure inspiration, Charly christened the show live on stage, El Concierto Subacuático, the underwater concert. What unfolded that night was more than just music. It was a cultural resurrection. A cleaner, more focused Charly commanded the stage, his passion reignited. The rain-soaked night reached its emotional peak when another Argentine rock god, Luis Alberto Spinetta, joined him. Together, they performed Rezo por vos, I Pray for You, a powerful symbol of unity and survival, a moment etched forever in the history of rock. Charly was back. He followed this triumph with a tour through Peru and Chile, proving to the world that the maestro had returned. In 2010, Charly formally released Kill Gil. This was a fascinating project, as most of it had been recorded before his crisis, but was finished and mixed during his recovery. It was a bridge between two worlds, the chaotic genius of his past and the clear-eyed focus of his future. The album was complex, conceptual, and proved that even after hitting rock bottom, his avant-garde vision was as sharp as ever. That same year, Buenos Aires officially recognized his immense cultural contribution, declaring him an illustrious citizen. The years that followed were about solidifying this new chapter. Charly wasn't just surviving, he was thriving. He toured extensively with his band, and the accolades poured in. In 2009, he received the Latin Grammy for Lifetime Achievement. Then, in 2013, an incredible academic honor. He was named Dr. Honoris Causa by the National University of General San Martin. It was a recognition that his work transcended music, influencing the very culture of his country. His live shows became a celebration. He reconnected with his audience, revisiting his greatest classics with a newfound precision and clarity. His mastery of the piano and the power of his voice were on full display, a testament to his recovery. While he didn't release a new album during this time, he was always working, always creating, keeping fans eagerly awaiting what would come next. This period was his resurrection, transforming him from a figure of crisis into a revered icon of artistic resilience. But the path wasn't entirely smooth. 2016 brought new health challenges. A series of issues with his hip required surgery, and a long, difficult period of physiotherapy. His public appearances became rare, and he was forced into a period of isolation. But for an artist like Charly, isolation isn't empty time. It's an incubator for creation. It was during this forced quiet that he crafted his next masterpiece. In March 2017, after 7 long years, he released Random. The album was an immediate critical triumph. Gone was the chaos of the Say No More era, replaced by a polished classic rock sound centered on his incredible piano work. Songs like La Máquina de Ser Feliz, The Machine to Be Happy, and Lluvia, Rain, weren't just new tracks. They felt like instant classics. To present this new work, Charly did something completely unexpected. No massive stadiums this time. Instead, he announced a surprise, intimate show at a small cultural center for less than 400 people. Tickets sold out in minutes. It was a powerful statement. He was returning to the stage, but entirely on his own terms. The ultimate validation for Random came at the 2018 Premios Gardel, Argentina's version of the Grammys. Charly didn't just win, he dominated. He swept the awards, taking home 6 trophies, including Best Male Rock Artist, Producer of the Year, and the biggest prize of the night, the Gardel de Oro, or Golden Gardel. It was his 3rd time winning this top honor, a feat that cemented his legacy for all time. And in a beautiful full-circle moment, the award was presented to him by his friend, the man who helped save his life, Palito Ortega. Fresh off the success of his album, Random, Charly was still the king of the stage. His live shows weren't just concerts, they were massive cultural events. The grand finale of this era was an emotional, sold-out performance at the legendary Luna Park in Buenos Aires in December 2019. Backed by his powerhouse band, including Rosario Ortega and the iconic Zorrido von Quintiero, Charly proved to everyone that his star power was as bright as ever. He wasn't just closing out a show, he was closing out a decade on his own terms, as a titan of music. But then, 2020 arrived, and with it, the world changed. The COVID-19 pandemic brought a wave of global uncertainty. In May of that year, a scare rippled through the music world. Charly was rushed to the hospital with a high fever and respiratory issues. The fear was immediate. Had the virus reached our hero? Thankfully, the tests came back negative, and he was discharged quickly. But the incident was a stark, sobering reminder of his fragile health. For his millions of fans, it hammered home the importance of protecting this irreplaceable treasure of rock and roll. The world was holding its breath, not just for the pandemic, but for Charly. This 4-year cycle, from his triumphant return with Random to this health scare, was a testament to his sheer will. It showcased his physical resilience against all odds, and more importantly, his artistic supremacy. Random had already proven that his creativity was an endless well, and even a global pandemic couldn't dim his light. Then came a milestone that felt like a national holiday. In October 2021, Charly Garcia turned 70. Argentina erupted in celebration. Musicians from every generation, from rock pioneers to young indie artists, gathered on stages across the country to pay homage to his incredible body of work. The main hub of these tributes was the Centro Cultural Kirchner in Buenos Aires. And in true Charly fashion, he made surprise appearances, popping up to bless the events with his presence, soaking in the love from his peers and his people. It was a beautiful, joyous moment, a nationwide thank you to the man who wrote the soundtrack to so many lives. However, behind these moments of public joy, his health remained a constant concern. The fragility that we glimpsed in 2020 became a harsh reality in early 2022. Charly suffered a severe domestic accident, resulting in extensive burns on his leg. This wasn't a minor incident. It required a month-long hospitalization filled with multiple medical procedures and even plastic surgeries. The recovery was long and arduous. It forced him into a more secluded life, and when he did appear in public, he was often in a wheelchair. The ever-energetic force of nature was now facing significant physical limitations, a challenging reality for both him and his devoted followers. Throughout 2023 and into 2024, Charly maintained this lower profile. His focus shifted inward, concentrating on his home life, ongoing neurological therapy, and a project that had been simmering for years, his next album. He was channeling his energy, conserving it for what mattered most, his health and his art. The world waited patiently, hoping for his recovery and for the new music that he was meticulously crafting behind closed doors. This period of quiet was not one of inactivity, but of focused, determined creation. And then, 2025 became a year for the history books, a year where Charly Garcia's legacy was cemented not just in music, but in the highest echelons of culture and academia. In August, the prestigious University of Buenos Aires, the UBA, awarded him the title of Doctor Honoris Causa. The Faculty of Philosophy and Letters recognized his vigorous creativity and his profound musical contribution and political meaning to the nation's culture. In a move that surprised and delighted everyone, Charly attended the ceremony. With his trademark wit fully intact, he accepted the honor, joking to the crowd, "From now on, I will be called Dr. Charly Garcia." It was a perfect, irreverent moment that captured his spirit. Just 1 month later, in September 2025, another monumental honor arrived. The Conex Foundation bestowed upon him the Conex de Brillante, the Conex of Brilliance Award. This is the highest possible distinction in Argentine popular music, an award that recognizes the single most outstanding artist of the entire last decade, from 2015 to 2024. With this, Charly joined a sacred lineage of Argentine cultural giants, standing alongside legends like Atahualpa Yupanqui and Mercedes Sosa. He wasn't just a rock star anymore. He was officially recognized as a national cultural treasure of the highest order. Amidst these incredible accolades, the musical culmination of this entire period finally arrived. In September 2024, Charly released La Lógica del Escorpión, The Logic of the Scorpion. This was his 14th studio album and his first new work in 7 years, since Random. The album's release was a massive cultural event. Recorded partially during his difficult recovery, it was a profound statement of artistic survival. It was packed with legendary collaborations, featuring friends and rock royalty like David Lebon and Pedro Aznar. But one track in particular made it a true historical document. The album included a posthumous appearance by the other great pillar of Argentine rock, Luis Alberto Spinetta, on a track called La Pelícana y el Androide. Hearing Charly and Spinetta together again was a moment of pure magic, a bridge across time that touched the soul of a nation. The album's title refers to the old fable of the scorpion and the frog, a perfect metaphor for Charly's own inescapable, complex, and brilliant nature. The Logic of the Scorpion was an immediate success, praised by critics and fans, and even received special recognition from the Buenos Aires city legislature. Today, Charly Garcia continues his medical treatments and lives a more private life. But his status is more secure than ever. He is a living legend who has conquered everything. He's rocked the biggest stages, stared down his own mortality, and walked the hallowed halls of academia. He is Dr. Charly Garcia, the man with the logic of a scorpion and the heart of a lion. His story is a powerful reminder that true creativity knows no bounds, and that the human spirit can triumph over anything. What an incredible journey. What's your favorite Charly Garcia era or song? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please give this video a thumbs up and make sure you resubscribe to the channel for more stories about the icons of music. We'll see you in the next one.